it's been a frustrating couple of days, mostly because I feel like sometimes my mom is not taking this as seriously as she should. I know that she is. I know she understands the impact of it in a very clinical sense. But I think she would say she's not struggling, or she would say she's struggling, but she would not connect with that struggle emotionally. I really get the sense that she's in that place where you have so much to do that it's overwhelming, and so you do nothing. You don't know what to do, so you do nothing. She is making calls to get appointments. There's more testing that's needed. She has a secondary form of cancer. We don't know if it's metastasized cancer or if it's its own cancer. And I'm trying not to push her, but I do feel the sense of urgency to push her. I don't know. I guess I imagine cancer is just like eating her alive. Every minute, every second, it's getting bigger. That's how I feel. And it's increasing my panic and anxiety. I am trying to find a place of joy in my heart, in my life. I'm still a mother. I'm still a wife. But every emotion I feel that's positive feels like a betrayal of the seriousness of what's going on. I'm still at that place where, my husband wants to give me a kiss. And my kids want to hold my hand. And I feel like my mother has cancer and nothing else matters. So shut up and go away. Leave me alone. And it's like life won't leave me alone. Life is still moving ahead. And time goes on. It feels so unfair. I want the world to stop and pay attention and help me. I want everybody's resources on this. And I feel like if I don't do something, nothing will get done. I have this sense of panic all the time. Anxiety. I was thinking today, I don't pray enough for people who have health struggles. Like when I hear about somebody at church or a friend and they're like, oh, just say if they said, my mom has cancer, I'd be like, I'll pray for that. And I would pray for it. I'm not one of those people, but who doesn't pray? Who says they're going to pray? And that's the prayer. They just said it right there. But I got a note from a friend. And they were like, what's going on? What's going on? And I said, my mom has pancreatic cancer and ovarian cancer, and just a friend from college, but not even like a super close friend. But they were like, oh, she was such a nice lady. I'll keep her in prayer. Best thoughts and wishes. And I was like, screw you and your thoughts and wishes. And then I realized I have been that person with the pat responses, with the Christian cliches, right? Like, well, I'll pray for that, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. But not really understanding, like, I am so sorry this is happening to you because I know how badly it hurts. And you want to kill yourself on some days, and on the other days you want to kill everybody else. I just feel like I have this empathy that I haven't had before, and I felt convicted in my spirit about I have not had a compassion for people who are sick. And now that it's in my life, I realize these people are struggling with fear, blinding terror, despair, and hopelessness. I remember I got a migraine. First time I ever got a migraine. I was like in my 40s. I was in my early 40s, and I had a migraine. It took me like 3 days to figure out I had a migraine. It was at Christmas. I got it Christmas Day, like 3 years ago. 2 years ago. And it was so painful. It was like every hour on the hour for 3 days. It felt like someone was taking a railroad nail and slamming it into the left side of my brain. It was so bad, it was like making my eye collapse every time. It would just fell me to the ground. Finally, I thought, and my teeth hurt, I had all these weird symptoms. Finally, I was like, I need to Google this. I don't know. I think I'm dying. I thought I was having a stroke, actually. But I didn't have any of those other symptoms. And so I Googled what was going on, and every time I did, it came up as a migraine. And I was like, is this a migraine? This is what people have been pissing and moaning about? This sucker hurts. More than hurts. I had like aura, was dizzy for a week. I had vertigo for a week after the pain went away. It was horrible. I was like nauseated. I couldn't sleep. I had the issues with the light. I couldn't look at the light. And I had a newfound empathy. I really, truly, before God, it's going to sound bad, but the truth is, I always secretly judged people with migraines. Like they were lazy and just wanted a day off of work. Always felt that way about people with PMS, actually. I was like, oh, you're on your period? Need some chocolate ice cream and a chick flick? Okay. Well, you let the big girls take care of the heavy lifting, sis. You go get your smelling salts and put your feet up. So, when I got that migraine, I actually called my sister-in-law and said, I apologize for all the times I did not take your migraine seriously. And now that there's pancreatic cancer and ovarian cancer in my mother, I have some regrets. I feel like I need to make more phone calls because a long time ago, when we first got to Utah, we became part of a church that needed a worship leader. Their worship leader left after we were there for like 6 months. The worship leader left. And the pastor said, you know, we need a new worship leader. And does anyone have that vision? And I was like, yeah, I do. I have that vision. I would love to do something like that. I've always loved worship, always been a worshiper. I'm a talented musician. I'm experienced. And I was looking forward to leading a team. And he was like, all right, well, I want my wife on the team. And I was like, oh my God. Because not only was she older, so now she would be about my mother's age, but she was very persnickety. And she liked things done a certain way. And even though I was the worship leader, she was the pastor's wife. So in terms of rank, she outranks me. And I felt that pressure of oversight. Like, what are you, the puppet master? And I have to do everything you say. I have no autonomy here to do as the Lord leads. Like, you don't trust me as a grown adult, mature in Christ. So I had a vision to maybe breathe some new life into some of the songs. And we'd been doing the same songs over and over and over and over again for a really long time. And so I had some fresh ideas, and I remember one day, and she was terrible. She was a terrible musician, and she couldn't really sing. But the pastor, and actually she had said to me, I don't even really want to be on the worship team, but my husband thinks I should be. So anyway, we were playing some song, and I was really energized. I loved it. I don't remember what it was. Might have been The Lord Reigns by Gateway Worship. And she came up to me later and she was like, you do a lot of fast songs. And I was like, well, I think we have a nice balance of fast and medium and slow. And she's like, I don't think we should do that many fast songs on a Sunday. Like maybe one fast song, the rest medium to slow. Maybe one. And I was like, why? And so she goes, I hate even saying this. I'm so pissed at myself right now. I can't believe I even said this to her. I'm so filled with regret. And I said, so she said to me, I have had cancer. And she said, and when I was going through my chemo and my radiation, etc., she said I was so sick some days, I couldn't even clap my hands. And she said I often felt left out of the worship because I had to just sit there because I was too weak sometimes to even stand. And she said I really only felt like I could enter in on songs that were slower because I could barely even lift my hands, but I couldn't really clap them. And I knowing me, probably was filled with snark. I'm so ashamed of this. I don't even want to say it, but I have to. And I said, well, that's why we need a mixture of song types so that the people with cancer can worship and the people without cancer can worship too. So now there's a little something for everybody, the cancer people and the non-cancer people. I can't even believe I said that. I'm so ashamed that I said that. I can't. I'm aghast at myself, at my hubris. I made a crack about her cancer. And now I'm eating my words. I regret that. Really, it's one of those things that's tormenting me. To think that my dear mother, someone could ever say that to them. Are you kidding me? If I ever found out that someone ever said something like that, I would become unglued. I would seriously, it would be Christ in me, the hope of glory. It did not knock that person's teeth down their throat, or as my mother would say, knock them into next Tuesday. I kid you not. A friend called me the other night, and she made a good point that I needed to hear at this time. She was one of those friends where, if you've walked through fire, and I have seen you do that, and I have seen you emerge victorious, I will listen to your advice. I will pay attention. Because I feel like up until this point, I have not experienced real tragedy. I've had miscarriages. Those were tragic. They were. My grandparents have all died except for one. Those were heartbreaking circumstances, yes. And I got through those. But this is like, I feel like it pales in comparison. And that up until this point, I just haven't walked through what I would consider to be a dark valley. My miscarriages helped me in a dark valley. They did. And I did have to grieve. But I didn't even know those people. I was grieving a dream. I was grieving the what if. I know my mother. And I love her so much. And my friend said to me, Alicia, she said, when Mary, the mother of Jesus, was at the cross, she said, you know what she wasn't doing? What she wasn't doing at the foot of the cross while Jesus died. She wasn't marching around the cross 7 times in faith, blowing the trumpet in Zion in faith. She said she wasn't harnessing all the disciples and the followers and Mary Magdalene. And she wasn't holding a prayer vigil. She wasn't crying out to God to save the life of her son. She wasn't reading healing scriptures. She said no. Mary was at the foot of the cross, screaming in agony and grief, because the promise of God had been beaten beyond what is human and hammered up onto a cross. And he was crying out in agony. And she was crying out in agony. And the time came later for her to stand in faith at the upper room, waiting for the promise of the Holy Spirit. She was there. But at the foot of the cross, she simply grieved. As the promise died in front of her, she had to hold fast to the greater promise. She had to hold fast to the greater promise of eternal life, of Jesus resurrecting from the dead. And a lot of that was really obscure at the time because they didn't even necessarily know what that would look like. He's like, I'll rebuild my temple in 3 days. It wasn't until after his death they haven't even caught what that meant. And she was like, you have to have time to just, you have to be okay with grief. And it doesn't always have to be a prayer vigil and fasting. Sometimes it's just crying. And she said, you can still be a person of great faith. And that's what Mary was, that even though she wasn't organizing prayer vigils and she wasn't fasting in those moments, she still was a woman of tremendous faith. And that didn't waver, even though she experienced this fear and the agony of loss, not really knowing what was going to happen next. And I can appreciate that. And I feel like, but that was Jesus. He rose. What's my mother going to do? Maybe she'll just live. That's it. Maybe she doesn't have to die and rise. Just want her to live. I don't know how to get through this. I don't. I go back and forth with this anger at God. Not even why. I'm not asking why. I really love the Lord and I can't see any aspect of my life without the Lord in my life. But I feel like a marriage, like in a marriage when you've been betrayed by your spouse? I have been betrayed by my spouse in the past. I have been ashamed and betrayed. And when I realized that I wanted to stay in my marriage, I knew I had to climb a mountain to get back to my husband after what he did to me. And I feel like that with the Lord. I feel like I've been betrayed. I feel like I have served you. My mother has served you. We're not perfect, but we are righteous through Jesus Christ, so we meet all the criteria for your promises to come true. And I feel very betrayed by God. But in spite of it all, we're here now. Except the betrayal I feel, it's so confusing because the betrayal I feel is not a betrayal of sin. God He didn't do anything sinful. It's like, it's a betrayal of righteousness. How do you overcome that? I know that He's righteous. And yet I feel unprotected and betrayed in this relationship. I don't believe that God has done anything wrong. And I am trusting that He is doing everything right, and underneath it all, I love Him. That's how I felt about my husband. I thought, underneath it all, I love him. And if I start from there, I will have the strength to climb this mountain of betrayal and find my way back to Him again. And when all is said and done, we are in a better place. And the Lord has restored our marriage. And He's brought new life and joy and hope and togetherness. But I have this undercurrent of pain that God has betrayed my mother and me, my family. And I want there to be peace between me and God and my heart, me and the Lord. I do. But I'm going to have to figure out a way to climb this mountain. You know, my husband was willing to change and allow God to do something new in him. And so was I. I was willing to. I'm not perfect. And I know that God was faithful. But what role does God have in this? If you liken it to a marriage where I feel betrayed because I feel like He didn't hold up His end of the deal. that she got it in the first place. And it's like, she didn't get skin cancer. She gets pancreatic cancer. It's my mother. She goes big or goes home. Third deadliest form of cancer, plus ovarian. I just feel like it's me that has to do all the work. Because, for God, it's nothing. The blink of an eye, the flick of a finger, and my mother is healed. It's like, don't you love me? Don't you want to do the work? To meet me halfway? I have really been trying to lean on the Lord for a word every day. But you know what? I've come to this place where there are days I don't want to read my Bible. I don't want to pray. And then I realize a whole day has gone by and I'm like, Alicia, you haven't prayed for your mother. You want her cancer to get worse. You haven't stood on the word. Just trying to rally myself. So this morning, I woke up early before I was supposed to. And I felt inside. I just felt like a thought. It was like, get up and read your Bible. And I haven't done that in a really long time. My husband and I have been getting up every morning and praying. But I've not been reading my Bible. I haven't been making the time. I don't know why. I think it's just the betrayal and resentment, I think. And I know that's the enemy because I have come to see that the things we feel the least like doing, worship, prayer, and the word, whatever it is that we feel the least like doing, that is a spiritual weapon. That is the sign when you don't want to do it, nothing in you wants to do it, you look around, you notice you're not doing it. That is a sign that that's the thing you need to do. Because the enemy puts up a mountain of resistance against that thing. Because he knows that that is one of the weapons that will win the war. And so he tries to keep me discouraged and frustrated and angry and betrayed. Tired. I'm exhausted mentally, emotionally. I feel like I have nothing to give at any point in time on any day. And everything is taxing. Everything. Getting dressed is taxing. Brushing my teeth is taxing. Dishes, floors, kids. It's exhausting. Because I'm already starting exhausted. And I'm afraid to be encouraged. Because I'm like, why would I bother to be encouraged? Just let me be exhausted. I'm just going to die. I know that's unrealistic. I don't know that's not even... I know that the story's not even written. I know that. That's what I'm battling. And so I sat down this morning and I read my Bible. And I've been reading in Isaiah. I didn't even know what to read. I was like, I guess I'll just keep going in Isaiah. I have a bookmark there. And even thinking of another chapter or book in the Bible to read is exhausting. So I opened up the Bible and just was reading. And I'm trying really hard not to read into every little thing and be like, does that apply to my mom, Lord? Is that for cancer? Is that one? Surely you shall call a nation you do not know. A nation you do not know will run to you. So she's going to run. So she won't have cancer and then she can run. Like, I'm trying so hard, right? I'm just, seek the Lord while he may be found. Is there a time when you can't be found? Is that now? Is that why she has cancer? My thoughts are not your thoughts, you think? nor are your ways my ways. Well, guess what? My way would be curing my mother of cancer. That's not your way? Could do this all day. And I saw these words, and they just, the term, they quickened to me. Just immediately, it grabbed my attention, and I knew it was for me in that moment. And it's Isaiah 54, 11 to 15. And it says, "O afflicted one, tossed with the tempest and not comforted, I will lay your stones with fair colors, and your foundations will be laid with sapphires. I will make your windows of agates and your gates of crystal, and all your borders will be laid with precious stones. Your sons will be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your sons, and in righteousness you will be established. You will be far from oppression, and you will not fear. And from terror, well, it shall not come near you. Indeed, they surely will assail you fiercely, but that's not from me. Whoever assails you will fall for your sake." And it continues, "I have created the smith that blows coals into the fire, and who brings forth the instrument for the master's use. No weapon that is formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment shall be condemned by you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me." And I felt like the Lord was like, "Oh, you who shall not be comforted." That's me. So my friend said to me the other day, when she called and told me about, Mary being a person of great faith, she said about being a person of great faith and still wailing, crying. She's like, "You know what? You need to learn how to lean on the Lord and let him be your strength." I was like, "Isn't that what I'm doing?" She was like, "No, you're not." She said, "You're trying to prop the tent up yourself. With all your prayers and all your this and your that." And she's like, "Those things are fine." She said, "But I can see that it's exhausting you to feel like, what's the word, God? What's the right prayer? I'm gonna pray this one. Is that the word that if I pray it, it will come true? Which one is the Rhema word?" She's like, "It's exhausting." She said, "You need to lean on the Lord." And I said, "You know what? Now that you say that, I don't even think I know what that looks like. What does it mean to lean on the Lord? I thought that's what I was doing, reading the Bible, pray every day so I'll grow, grow, grow." So she's like, "Oh, I want you to do a little exercise." She's like, "You're going to practice leaning on the Lord." And I was like, "Great, yes, let's do this." And then she paused and she was like, this was on the phone. So she's like, "I can hear you thinking." She's like, "I can hear what you're thinking right now." She's like, "You're trying to be," she's like, "You come from strong stock." She's like, your brother's a Navy SEAL. Your parents are leaders, in the church, pastors. She's like, "You come from strong mental, emotional, spiritual stock." She's like, "I can hear you right now. You're like, all right, lean, got it. I'll be the number one best Navy SEAL leaner on God that ever did exist. What is the standard? Oh, you have to be 100% leaner. I'll be 110% leaner. Oh, you have to be an A plus. I'll be an A plus and bonus section leaner on Christ." I was like, fair enough. It's just because the stakes are so high. God, they're so... So she was like, stop being an expert leaner all of a sudden. Stop being the strongest leaner that ever did lean. She's like, you have to stop. So she's like, I want you to do this exercise. She's like, I want you to, and this is somebody who's been through the fire. I mean it. I have seen this person burn. And so I took what they said to heart. So she's like, I want you to find a tree, like a literal tree, somewhere private, and I want you to go lean against it. And I was like, okay, not really my thing. All I could think about is, did I just get what the heck was that? Spider? Not really a tree person. I love trees, but I don't want to lean against them. Anyway, so she said, I want you to find a tree. She goes, and I want you to lean against that tree, put your weight against the tree. And she said, and I want you to stand there and I want you to talk to the Lord. She said, I want you to tell him everything. I want you to take some weight off of yourself and lay your body against that tree so it props you up. And I want you to tell the Lord what you're thinking. So, I am here in the middle of nowhere. Was driving down this road where I know there's like a wooded area kind of near. I live in the city. Woods are hard to find, but I did know of an area. And she was like, you know what, Alicia, you're going to feel blank. She said, then I want you to just listen and be quiet. And I was like, why would I be quiet? God literally never speaks to me when I'm quiet. He just does not. It's not. She's like, yep. The first couple times you do this, you'll probably hear nothing. She said, but you're going to keep going. God is going to move. He's going to speak. So I'm here, and was driving down this road that I thought might be a place to go. I drove down it one way, and I was like, oh, so there's nothing here. Okay, cool. There's like literally nothing. But then as I turned around and came back, I saw something I missed. It was actually a cemetery up on a hill. It looks abandoned, or older, anyway. It's like some old flowers on the grave markers, but maybe that sounds creepy to somebody else, but it's not to me. I'm not being maudlin, I'm not being morbid. I just thought, it's probably a place where people won't care if I'm crying and wailing. Actually, that's what I thought. And talking to God, mumbling to myself, tongues or something. People are going to be like, yeah, what you do? So I'm here, and I'm going to go lean against the tree. I'll be honest, I don't expect it. I don't expect much. I don't. But I'm going to do it because somebody else who has been through the fire and who gets my personality suggested I do it. That's why I'm doing it. I already feel stupid. I'm going to traverse up this little hill. I tried to drive up it, actually, and my car slid back down. A little muddy today. I thought, okay, God, I guess I'll walk. Thanks. I brought my Bible. Brought my phone so I can listen to some worship music. I don't know what I'm expecting. No, I do know what I'm expecting. I'm expecting nothing. But I don't even know why I'm doing it. But I'm going to. I'm pissed at myself for even thinking this is going to do something. It feels like a talisman. But I'm going to go lean against a tree. Because I am not good at leaning. I can admit that. It's worth a try. And I will do it a couple times. And my expectations are low, I'll be honest with you. But I got time on my hands. Could be doing 10 other things. But I'm gonna go lean on a tree. My mother has cancer. But Jesus has the answer.